When you're ready, Liam. Okay. Hi, my name's Eddie and I work at Young & Shan in Auckland. Let's begin. So first, New Zealand summarised in 3 words. I believe hopeful but obedient. And what New Zealand should be in 3 words is innovative and brave.
Why? That's hopeful but obedient. That's just wow.
To me, it sums up, I guess, the way we act and sort of the rhetoric of people my age, my friends and family, my peers, is that I think a lot of people in this country understand that things aren't where they should, whether it's inequality or lack of opportunities or social barriers, whatever that may be. But we still end up following the status quo and not taking any real steps to make change.
Okay.
And I think it's because, in my mind, that we're afraid of the repercussions, whether it's in a career sense or socially. Moving outside of social norms can be difficult and challenging.
Oh, absolutely, for everyone, everywhere.
And so I think that's holding us back, and I'm not going to offer an answer to what would do that.
That's so on that the innovative and brave piece. Is there any country in the world that you kind of would hold up and go, yes, they're innovative, brave? Because what you've outlined, I think, is a basic human thing, which is we find it hard to change.
Absolutely. I think Bolivia's doing a pretty good job at the moment. They've and it's quite ironic that the International Monetary Fund is celebrating their work, even though it went against what they advised to do.
Yes.
So I think, and obviously that. The Bolivian leader, his name escapes me now, would have faced a lot of negative social pressure from the bigger nations, the powerhouses of our world economies. So
I don't know about this, and I don't know if everyone else knows about it. So maybe you could expand.
I don't think I'd do a very good job of it, but
right.
I'd happily like.
No worries. That's
I'd
cool.
murder it.
So you talked about a celebrity who you thought, or a person represented the best of New Zealand.
And as I said before, Glenn Greenwald is the person for me.
Yeah.
And that's because of it encourages the ideals of transparency and having information in the public sphere so people can make genuine, informed decisions and not simply just. It's hard to make real decisions when your only news sources are not state-run, but state-encouraged tabloids and newspapers. So that's what I like about him, is that it's just genuine. It's just providing real information so people can make real decisions.
Do you see him as independent? Or do you see him
How do you mean independent? Independent agendas, or...?
Do you see him as an independent commentator? I mean, genuine, yes. True to what he believes, yes. Do you talked about social pressures on Bolivia. Would you think that he would experience social pressures?
Extremely so.
Yeah.
Well, you see, when his partner was arrested in going through Heathrow and held for, I think, 8 or 10 hours. And so, I mean, there's a lot of obvious. He's living in Brazil at the moment. I'm sure that's not his first choice of residence.
No.
Yeah, obviously he's going to be facing a lot of hardship, and a lot of people out to shut him up.
Yeah. Okay. So, what should the vision for New Zealand be, and the goals?
I think one thing we should try and strive to... Well, New Zealand should be the first country to free itself from predatory capitalism and realign our values towards community and sustainability. I think would be a lovely place for us to start.
Yeah. Is there a particular example of predatory capitalism? I'm thinking here about the audience, and they might not. I think
a good example is payday loans. So payday loans, they essentially you're running a bit low on money. You don't want to go to these traditional. You either can't go to a bank for credit reasons, or you don't want to go to the companies that are perceived as loan sharks now.
Yes.
So you go to a payday loan company who are pitched as people who help you get through to that next payday, and all we do is simply take the money you've borrowed out from your paycheck when it comes through. But there's a lot of stipulations, and when people start missing payments for whatever reasons, even if it's only a small amount, they face huge fees and interest, and it's just a downward spiral for a lot of people who aren't in a good position already.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
And that's why I think it's predatory. I think it's preying on people who may not know better or are in a very difficult situation with a lack of options.
Do you think there's quite a bit of that around in New Zealand, or is there any country in the world where you think that is?
Well, the epitome would be America for me, in my mind. But I think New Zealand, it definitely is happening. The payday loan companies are starting to come in here more now. But yeah, I think it absolutely is around.
So, what would be maybe? Is there a specific example you think happening here in New Zealand now that shows the positive side of the kind of capitalism that you would like to see? And that might be a company, it might be an initiative, or
a not very well-known company which I've put down for this is a company called Eudoo Group. So Eudoo Group's run by a man called Bernd Gunderman, who's an architect. And basically they pitched to redesign New Zealand, Auckland's waterfront, but lost out to some other companies with government links and so on and so forth. But now they're interested in sea level rise, climate change, and making sustainable changes to our landscape. And so what they've just picked up I think $297 billion contract. Well, that's not all for them, but it's a huge job.
Yes.
Rebuilding the Dominican Republic's waterfront, and
because celebrated. That's a fantastic.
Well, they are.
Find for you to share, because I'm not sure a lot of people will know.
The project is very much it's kicking off very shortly. It's still getting signed and sealed, but it's it's beginning sort of now. But
and it's Urbia Group.
Urbia. URBIA. And yeah, basically, because climate change and the effects of it are more pronounced around the Dominican Republic and things like that, they're taking action now because they realise what's happened, and it's getting a bit of. And I think it's going to. Well, I think it's been funded by some of the players from bigger companies who are using it as an experiment, which can then be applied to other cities, hopefully.
Okay, yeah. No, I can see that.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting, and I think their visions are great, and that's what we should be doing as opposed to.
Really powerful. That's a really inspiring thing. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
That is in of itself the kind of goals that Eudoo is trying to raise. So, what images when someone says to you New Zealand, what are the first things that come to mind?
Bush, hills, beaches.
Any particular part of the country?
Well, I grew up in West Auckland, which is all the Waitakere Ranges. So yeah, very much that's my idea of home.
Yes.
But I guess conversely as well, and I guess this has happened as I've grown up a bit, is I see other sides of that imbalance, unfairness. And a lot of people who are doing it really hard, and I think a lot of people who are doing okay don't have any real idea what it's like or what's happening in these poorer communities. And we've sort of just ended up in this bubble in Auckland. So I see these beautiful ideals of like my childhood and bush and countryside, but then now I'm sort of seeing this emerging. It seems like it's a little bit of a facade. When you look at it,
and a shop window thing.
Very much so, and but it obviously still exists, but I think only for a select few. In some respects, so that's something which is that's how I see it. I think
that's good. Well, it's not good, obviously. It's bad. But it's good in that we understand that, and thank you. So Eudoo, what if anything do you think Eudoo can do for you? This project, how is it going to be useful to you at all?
I think it could enact genuine change as opposed to providing little snippets of information which can inspire rhetoric, which is what tends to happen with a lot of projects like this. Is that so I wouldn't say projects, but a lot of projects, is that people just end up taking out pieces of information out of context and using it for their own ends, as opposed to presenting findings or research in a way which is very genuine upfront and not edited or censored. So I think, just providing genuine information which can lead to change.
Brilliant. Okay, well that's certainly our aim, and all the videos are going to be there, 100 this year and 1,000 next year ready, so
Perfect.
hopefully that will do the job.
Excellent.
So thanks very much for taking the time to be with us.
You're welcome.
We're going to give you a little prezi from Eudoo now.
Very nice.
So we'll turn the camera off.